So we're into the final phase of our collaboration today, which is really just a sort of plenary discussion and next steps, if you like. And the plenary is really just a chance for folks to perhaps share some really top line or key aspects of the discussion that they feel is worthy of sharing with the wider group together. So it's really over to yourselves in terms of some really pertinent points that perhaps came out of your discussion, or things that really resonated with you, that you think are worthy of highlighting. So I'm going to throw it back to everybody in terms of what were the top lines for you today. Betsy and Jack, I don't know if there's anything that you particularly want to share from your discussions to kick us off.
I'd probably invite Alan to share, because we were in a different line of inquiry, but absolutely focused on inquiry. Alan, do you have any insights from just what we were chewing over?
It's a tricky one, because you just sort of bounce from one issue to another. I suppose we made some I suppose some background that I'm a reader in education at Queen Margaret University, and I was in the group with Betsy and Jack. So in a sense that we're not practitioners. We both supported the idea of practitioner research, but we also had quite a detailed discussion about how we do education differently to engender the sorts of ways of thinking that might support sustainable education, or thinking about sustainable issues. And I think that, at least that for me, that's one of the big issues I think and write about. But how might we make people think in a way that is not centered necessarily on themselves, but centered on others, centered on the planet? And that's very difficult to do. Changing the way people think is much harder than delivering a lesson on food chains and food webs. I don't know if that's enough, Betsy or Jack, as a terrible summary of what was a very good conversation.
No, I think that's a good summary, and I suppose we were thinking that sort of question is something that applies at every level. So you know, we do a lot of professional learning, and that's about what really does make this change, to enable and support thinking about sustainability issues, but that questioning in itself, you know, with that approach, which is the learning for sustainability approach. So yeah, I think the conversation that we had, which was about your conversations with students, Alan, and you know, they kind of approaches, the things that challenge our approaches, are all they were essentially the same itch, really, and in terms of what we were striving to understand and do something about, and you did mention bits of reading, I think, which are, you know, useful bits of reading, and from a book that you've written yourself recently and published, the Good Education in a Fragile World book, which is something that stimulates thinking, and critical thinking in particular. And then we got on to talking about Gert Biester and his way of stimulating and provoking and engaging, and I suppose stimulating questioning. It's so I don't know if you wanted to add anything, Jack.
No, and I'm suffering from technical difficulty, so I don't know. I can't turn my microphone off or my camera. I don't know where I am in a well, but I think it was really that inquiry about how we bring learning for sustainability to life in the most meaningful ways, you know, landing it in IT. I mean, some of the questions we were teasing out in like 2 modules, is that, you know, and we ended up on sort of a larger shake-up of education. So I think it was a very big itch to be scratching. Yeah. But I think it's like coming, my reflections going way forward here would be sort of like, you know, I want to go off and read the chapter on swallowing a world. It's connected with Midnight and Salman Rushdie's Midnight's Children. So already it's got my itch. Already I want to be informed by that and stretched. I don't know where it will take me, but I know it's going to take me somewhere that will inform the next point of an inquiry. So yeah, that's for me. I don't know about the other group, Tanya. You're the only person I can see, so I'm sorry to pick on you. But what were the conversations like within your group? Now you're muted at the moment. That I could see.
There we go. We ranged a bit as well. Carl Phillips from Kilgraston, Caroline, who's a student, and there was a couple of others that joined in. I started the conversation off because I'm working with an additional support needs group at the moment. So I was asking if anybody had any experience of, you know, engaging with them. They're a great bunch of students, and that led to a very wide-ranging conversation around things like food to fork, or field to fork, hill to fork, food initiatives, etc., that included farmers, etc., and students knowing about where their food came from. And I think what came from our conversation was it is very much everybody's learning. It is the staff and the teachers, and I work with a number of experts, so I'm able to bring in a whole host of experts who know far more than me. But it is that learning journey that you do together. Yeah, we just made some connections of who might be able to help, and where further information and support and collaboration may be provided. So yeah, is that a fair reflection? I'm getting a nod from Carl.
Fantastic. Now, you mentioned technical difficulties, Jack, and I suspect that might be affecting a few other folk, in that I too have tried to mute, unmute, switch camera on, switch camera off, none of which seem to be working. So I suspect that if folks did want to contribute, they might not even be able to unmute and come into the discussion. So I'm looking at the time, and we've got 1 minute to go. So I'm wondering if I can let everybody know that I will share obviously all of the slides and the recording from the main part of our discussion today. But because I can't share the slides, I'm just going to talk you through what was in them, if that's okay, on the proviso that I'll send them to everyone as soon as I can. So essentially, in terms of next steps, we had a reminder of the resources that Jack had shared earlier, in terms of some further reading, some suggested places to go and find additional resource. We'd also shared a very nice example of practitioner reflection that popped up on Twitter today. So some work that had been done by Education Scotland around the theme of learning for sustainability and practitioner inquiry. So we hope that example, it's a pictorial example, will perhaps inspire you to take this further in your own practice. The other thing that we wanted to highlight was the map, the interactive map on the Connect section of the Learning for Sustainability Hub on the GTC website. Now, this map is a fantastic place to share your own practice, particularly something like practitioner inquiry, whereby you could almost use it as like a sort of blog facility, where you could perhaps outline your thoughts on what you're going to be taking, looking at as part of your inquiry, and then giving us a sort of running account of the practitioner inquiry as it unfolds. So that facility is available through the GTCS website, and as I say, once you receive the slides, you'll be able to click in and have a wee look at some of the stories that are already on there. So it's designed to be inspiring and for you to be inspired. So we hope that you'll share with that. Next date for your diaries is the next GTC Connect session, which will be Thursday the 25th of April. And we'll be in touch with more details about that very soon. But yes, just like to say thank you so much to everybody for coming along tonight. Apologies for the technical difficulties on behalf of Teams. And if there's any final comments from you, Jack and Betsy, before we say goodbye to everybody.
Just have a lovely Easter break and get outside. Hopefully see the primroses, Alan. Watch the buds on the trees. Yes.
These all sound like wonderful things. So yes, thank you very much for coming along, folks, and we'll see you on the 25th of April.
Look forward to it. Bye.